And good morning. I'm just going to give the title this morning, read the blurb, and then I'll get into talking with you. The title is The Peace Prophecy, Vision 2013, and that does come from this book. There it goes. Last night at the Mary Horgan Center, Dr. Elaine Christine was our speaker. Her doctorate is in computer sciences, and one of her passions is numerology. She's really big on numbers and converting letters to numbers. I'll say more about her in a bit, but what draws my attention as I meditate this morning is one of the diagrams she drew for us that included a right triangle in 3 parts. The upper part was God, the middle part was Deo, and the bottom part was ego. We talked about the ego, and one man mentioned that the ego is not real and therefore must be eliminated. Then I brought up the spirituality of inclusion versus exclusion, elimination versus integration, which is a big topic for me. I was challenged when I said it's not about elimination. What about banks and government? The real question, as I see it, is, can we have peace with banks and governments acting as we have known them? And actually, I have lots of questions, and my intention is to be congruent and consistent in what I'm saying, and there's a lot of thought going on. Even before I got out of bed and went into the meditation room this morning, there's a lot of thought on this subject, because it was Margie that challenged me, because she doesn't like that I talk about banks and the government, and she sees that as not being spiritual. And that's fine. That's where she sees it. That's where she is. But one of my friends, Mike, who's going to be my speaker in 2 weeks, on world religions, basically talking about the 5 major world religions, he's the one that said that the ego is not real and needs to be eliminated. Well, the truth of the matter is, nothing in part is real. That is, it's not whole. It's not that it's not real. It's not that it's just that it's not complete. And so I've been thinking about this a lot this morning, getting back to my more philosophical thoughts, which are fairly normal for me, and out of all of the personal stuff that's been going on in my life and in my world, and bringing you this little talk today. Now, I promised in the blurb that I'd say more about Christine, or Elaine Christine. She wrote a process for world peace in 1998 after her text, Managing Risk, textbook actually it should probably read, Managing Risk, Methods for Software Systems Development, was published. After a vision of the peace symbol while walking the beach on August 5th, 2000, she wrote more than 57 inches of material in 19 binders. I can attest for that. I've been in her home and I've seen those binders, and she writes a lot. With the mission of peace to every mind, Christine trains and certifies and mentors peace process facilitators. She's one of my local friends in my local community here, and she raised a lot of questions for me, but especially this one of this. She drew several triangles in which she converts letters to numbers and gets messages out of numbers and rearranges some of the sequences. But in any case, that one triangle and the little bit of discussion we had on it last night was what really drew my attention this morning. She's really big on God, and she began by asking us how we address God. She addresses God simply as God. And some of us address God as Great Spirit or Buddha or Father, Mother God or Jesus or Buddha or Krishna. I mean, lots of answers. Lots of answers came forth from the small group of us, and she presented each of us that were there last night. Sorry about that. She presented each of us that were there last night with a copy of her book, which was really nice. She gifted that to us. In any case, this whole idea, again, of making peace when we don't have all the pieces together. You have to have all the pieces for there to be peace. And to me, and to her, and to Margie, and to most of us last night, I believe, the ego is one of those pieces. Now, Eastern spiritual traditions tend to negate the ego, which I think is their big mistake. Because you can't, to me, you can never become whole by eliminating part of anything. How can you eliminate a part and find wholeness? How can you find unity by rejecting something? And so Margie's question of what about the banks and the government, because that's one of her things. She doesn't like it that I emphasize. And many of my friends, not just Margie, many of my friends don't like it when I talk about what the government's up to, what the banks are doing, all the fraud, all the corruption. And so I'm wrestling this morning with the challenge of that question. And as I see it, there's nothing inherently wrong with banks or money or government or ego or any of these things, or even guns. There's nothing inherently evil or bad with any of them. It's the use or the misuse of them that creates the problem. And the misuse of them comes because of rejecting parts. Now, I want to make it really clear. I am not against any human beings. I'm not against any extraterrestrials. I'm not against any manifest or unmanifest creature of God. If God made them, there's something beneficial in each of those creations. Whether I understand that or not is irrelevant. There is something good. As Anastasia said, everything is made for man. Everything is a gift. And my job as an adventuresome human and a free spirit and a questioning mind is to find out and learn what is the gift in this thing that I so don't like. What is the gift in it? And for me, I've long seen the ego as a gift. It's developing an identity. It's developing a personality. And it's about integrating all of me so that I can be and express wholeness. And when I express wholeness, I am in love. That's just the way it is. When I know myself, I know God. If I don't know myself, I can't possibly know God, because God created me to have a self, to understand and to know myself. God created that in me, as me, for me, through me. It is me. But the triangle, and I didn't see this last night, Deo was in the middle, and she emphasized that, of course, God is the English word, and then Deo and ego are both Latin words. Latin word meaning God, and the Latin word meaning me or I. Deo is the intermediary between the higher self and the lower self, the higher I and the lower I, the higher soul and the lower soul, or God and ego. It's the Christ, if you will. It's the bridge. And that's what I emphasize in a lot of my teachings. Find the bridge. Recognize that there's a bridge. There's always a bridge. There's always something that's in the middle to connect the unconscious with the conscious, to connect the visible with the invisible. There's always a bridge. And the bridge that we're in right now in 2013 is the bridge between the old paradigm and the new paradigm. Three-dimensional only thinking and five-dimensional thinking. The quintessential thinking. Five to me always means quintessential. It always means that. It's the quintessential essence of reality that we are here to learn on Earth in 2013. It's where we're going. We're recognizing that. We're recognizing that the ego is just simply part of God. But so are banks and governments part of human society. There's nothing, absolutely nothing, inherently wrong with banks as tools, as a system to exchange value and keep track of the value. There's nothing inherently wrong with that, except it's been done by fraud and deception and not laying all the marbles and all the cards on the table. It's been done for the benefit of a few at the expense of the many. And government has been playing that same game, which is why banks and governments need not to be eliminated yet. Maybe someday we'll be there, but we're not there yet. So what they need to be is transformed. What our ego needs to be is transformed from thinking in a limited fashion to thinking in an unlimited fashion, or at least a less limited fashion. This is the journey that we're on. This is the place we're at, as I see it, in our evolutionary awakening. And it's not about eliminating things. It's about proper use of the things that we are given, and about telling the truth, and about entering into absolute truth, as Heather always says when she's talking about the one people and the trust and all of those things. Absolute truth. And that's where we're going. We're taking the things that were hidden and we're making them manifest. And when I say we are all part of it. Spirit, God, Creator, Source, Great Spirit is doing this in our world so that we can create peace on earth in 2013. But it begins within each of us as we integrate the ego and the higher self, and we let them merge, and we allow that Christed energy that connects the two to become alive within us. And it's not about religion. It's not about Christianity or Judaism or Islam or Buddhism or Hinduism or any of the other isms of our world. It's not even about nihilism, because she says everything starts with the zero. And that's agnostic or atheist. And they are nihilists. They eliminate everything. But everything comes from nothing. So we're actually in the process of integrating all of these polarizations that we have experienced, because we have all been in the process of learning unity through the process of separation. And that was the revelation and the words that I received as an insight in the Love Line on Sunday with Margie. Those were the words that came to me as soon as I was with her. She's teaching unity through separation. But that's what all the world religions have been doing. That's what they've all been doing, because they want you to see the parts so that you can then better appreciate the whole when the parts come together. Anyway, this is how I see it, and it's how I'm trying to reach coherence and consistency for myself within my own understanding of how the world works and what's happening in our world. And in closing, I'm just going to say that hopefully tomorrow, and maybe it might be done tomorrow and then up on Saturday, I'm planning to do a video with Norma Sunshine, the 3-year-old lady that I've been talking about. We've been talking every day, and I hope to create a video with her that I will be sharing, and I also hope within the next week to be creating a video with Aristomenes Christos Papageorgopoulos from Greece, so that there will be 2 gifts that I hope to give to you with those. They will probably be longer than my normal 15 to 20-minute length of my videos. They might be a half an hour or maybe even a little bit longer than that. I'm not sure. They're not done yet. They haven't happened. But I want to give you a chance to meet at least these 2 people right now, and there might be others in the future. I'm so blessed to have so many wonderful people in my world and in my life. And I'm blessed to be loved and to be able to love and to share my love with each of you every day. Thank you for listening. Namaste.